This is Justin AMZN for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. We had a pretty flat pre-market that really stayed below the after hours prices um, from yesterday, and then the low just it it stayed kind of right where the after hours started. You had this wick down, well, not really a wick. I guess it's more of just an actual candle. This is a wick during the day, but this came down here, but it only corresponded to really the close from Tuesday. So as it opened, uh, I was hoping with this being a bullish retest gap, it would actually pull back, it would actually retest down into 1665, which we were clearly passing yesterday. But it didn't do that. It just rallied. And then from up here in the 1700s, which we actually got into, then it sold off, and it actually sold off pretty sharply, put in this really strong hammer type candle, but again, didn't pull down into 1665 and just barely got close to yesterday's closing price before that started to bounce, did kind of this double bottom. The bullish candles really kind of look like the double bottom here, but it really did come this far down. And then you'd expect, with the double bottom, it'll have a little neckline retest, maybe that's that, and then just go. And it didn't do that. So we've exhausted some of the bullish momentum, and this is really just a resting day. You can see it's just sideways. If you switch over to the options, trying to buy calls anywhere in here actually proved pretty challenging. So this is the 1725 calls. The open price was up here around 525. Then it pulled down here close to 350. And then it was back up around 525, but that only ran up to 725. So maybe you could have gotten 2 Rs there, but it would have been really challenging to do that. 525 by 425 or something like that. Potentially getting in again here, but didn't even make it up into 7. So, the opportunity to get 2 Rs was really limited on the call side, and it was really challenging to play this one. This candle itself was more than $1, possibly pulling, getting in on a pullback here and a stop below this candle. That would have been a little better. Should have gotten 2 R on that, but again, it's just guessing that that's going to work. It didn't hold another level, didn't hold it didn't come back down to this. But if we look over at the puts, so the calls were, the bullish perspective had a low here, a lower low here, a higher low, and then a relative low, the same low really. But on the puts, on the bearish perspective, we had a move this high, and then we had a move here, and then stayed there, and then slightly lower. And so this is a little more steady. At least it wasn't jumping around as much. And all of this builds kind of a bigger triangle that looks like it's breaking down at this point. So if we look at puts now, this is the 1675 puts, and that rally on the stock really actually held pretty nicely around $9 here. That was a bunch of the lows, that range, the low $9. So, having an 850 low here, still would have provided some opportunity to get in, like even potentially 10 by 9 or 950, just getting in at 950 by 850, and then that actually rallied back up to the opening price, or the low on the day. As this wick was formed, it came back down, and then you didn't know really where it was going to go back up to. So looking here, you didn't know how high this was going to go back up. So maybe this is where kind of the testing ground, figuring out, okay, that's a good baseline. Let's see if we can get back up there. And it did here. So looking at the candle at 11:55 noon in that time frame, we're really flat on the put side, just like we are on the day on those highs. And that would be an opportunity to get in. So, maybe you're watching this one. It came back to 10. Maybe you got in 10 by 9. You're looking for 10 again. May or may not have gotten filled here, potentially getting in here and taking profit at 12. And that worked. If you watch that work here, and then, hey, there's another opportunity to do it here. And then, hey, there's another opportunity to do it here. 10 by 9 going to 12. You could have done that once, twice, third time, a fourth time, each time getting 2 Rs or more had you done this one, and just waited on exiting. But again, all this is just kind of speculating what could have been working out, and just looking for levels to hold. Because we weren't into any lines, just higher than this. We'll zoom out a little bit. The next line I've got up here is the, I thought it was 1715. Yeah, 1714.50. So that's a little bit higher. We've got the 1665 a little bit lower. We're just in the middle of this range. And back on the daily, it's a nice bullish retest and it's a nice resting candle. Indecisive up here. We are starting to push through these bearish candles. So this one's high is 1704.99. Today's high is 1705. So we technically moved higher than this candle by a penny today. So it makes sense that there was some selling coming in. And actually this candle to me looks really similar to this one, not just because the highs are a penny apart from each other, but just having the open and close so close to each other, having a very small lower wick, if any, on this one. It just would have been nice if it came down a little bit more into 1665 and had a play off of that level, but it just didn't happen today. We'll see if a little bit more resting comes in tomorrow, if we can have a little bit more of a pullback and start to look similar to this. And if we can get another bearish candle up here and then get above that, we could still move up some more into the highs up here, into the high 1700s. That's what I'd be looking for, but we need a little bit more of a rest. Today was definitely a resting candle. It could continue on up, or it could pull back a little bit more. So we'll watch the really this. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Really watch the consolidations up here and see, okay, what is this going to actually start to do? Is it going to really break out? Is it going to break down? We started to break down after towards the end of the day, and then stayed down here after hours. So we'll see if pre-market tomorrow, look for it to stay in this range and potentially retest this triangle back up to kind of 1693 maybe. And then if it can roll over from there, that come back to 1665, that'd be a nice little pullback, and then see if it'll hold 1665 and rally. Otherwise, if it starts to gap up in the morning, pre-market, look for it to continue on up to 1450 and pause there like it did at 1665. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating, and I guess we'll see in tomorrow's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.